Hey, today I'll be talking about the end of the novel RuYi's Royal Love in the Palace. The novel ends very differently from the drama, the biggest change being that it doesn't end after RuYi's death and we get to see what became of everyone. So without further ado, RuYi is indeed very sick and doesn't have long left. Rongpei, and Hailan are constantly begging her to take her medicine, but she refuses. One day, Yanwan comes to see RuYi. At this point, Yanwan has all the power in the world and RuYi is on her way out. The emperor has all but said that he will depose her. This is from Yanwan. Oh, sister, please forgive me. What do I call you now? You no longer have the Empress's regalia, so I can no longer call you Empress. You're older than I am, and to be respected, so I will call you Big Sister. RuYi stared at her fixedly and then smiled slightly and said, You can call me whatever you like. Yanwan is endlessly annoyed that RuYi is so calm about how things have shaken out and was clearly hoping for a chance to revel in RuYi's dismal end. Yanwan really thinks she's figured this whole thing out and tries to elicit some kind of response by saying she'll never end up like RuYi has when she becomes the Empress. Yanwan smiled fiercely. Now I can see through it all. Empress Xiaoxian was humble and gave in to the Emperor in everything, never contradicting him, but the Emperor found her too rule-following and lost interest. As a result, his interest turned to your outspoken nature. But when you became the Empress, the outspokenness he liked turned into lack of respect and you constantly offending him. Which is why the Emperor now likes my gentle, charming, obedient nature. Amazing that she could put all that together and still not realize that following that logic, he will start to hate her too at some point and move on to the next one. Still no response, but Yanwan is finally able to get what she wants when she brings up Fifth Prince. RuYi sends her servants out of the room and says angrily that Yanwan planned well. Since Yunjiao was neither his primary nor his secondary wife, she did not have permission to come into the palace and meet RuYi and Hailan. Had they met, RuYi thinks they would have seen through her in an instant. Now that Yanwan has found something that gets a rise out of her, she enjoys twisting the knife in a bit more. Finally, RuYi asks her outright, So, that Miss Hu, was she working for you? Yanwan smiled gracefully with arched eyebrows. Sister, do you really want to know about Hu Yunjiao's origins? What a pity, I've already completely wiped out her history. She came from a good family, pure as snow with nothing for you to pick at. Had it not been handled so cleanly, with consort Yu's mentality, she would have suspected her long ago. As for you, sister, you might consider Yunjiao a descendant of your enemy. Her original surname was Tian. Yanwan is so confident in how well she covered everything up that she tells RuYi everything. I adore this line about Yanwan's motivations for telling RuYi all of this. Though she was happy, there was still doubt and fear in her joy. If she couldn't show off what she had gained through these untold hardships, it would be like walking around at night in fine clothes with no one to see them. After taunting her some more, Yanwan leaves and RuYi stands up. She pulls out an old handkerchief that Yuncha gave her years ago. She burns it and says a final thank you and goodbye to Yuncha. Dear listener, this next scene had me on the floor. Rongpei watched indifferently as she finished burning it, then collected the ashes in a copper dustpan, walked to the courtyard and scattered them outside. RuYi heard her own voice, clear and decisive as she urged Rongpei, Hurry. Rongpei didn't cry. She pulled out a small dagger from her sleeve and placed it in RuYi's hand. She raised the dagger, letting the rays of sunlight streaming in from outside hit it. It shined with a faint blue light. It was indeed a sharp blade. She didn't speak, only smiled lightly, calm and composed. She looked at Rongpei and said in a low voice, Once I die, you can leave. Rongpei, if you manage to get out, you must live well. Rongpei nodded heavily. I will serve you as you go. RuYi's gaze turned slightly and landed on the half-embroidered flower pattern on the embroidery frame. It was a half-bloomed green cherry blossom, blooming carefreely on the snow-white gauze. There was also the half-turned on the wall and horseback, full of its joys and sorrows. RuYi sighed softly, full of worries. I still don't know. Will all of this really be able to protect my Yongji? Rongpei nodded with a firm and peaceful expression. RuYi smiled slightly. No more nostalgia. She raised the knife and pushed it into her chest. The blade did not go all the way in. The movement was quick, and as the knife fell from her hand, she only felt a deep cold spreading through her chest. Amidst the spreading pain, she suddenly recalled something from the past. The sunlight shining from the cloudless sky streamed through the trees, making everything emerald green. The newly blossomed flowers bloomed with dark purple and snow white, sprinkling the air with a sweet taste. He stood under the flower petals, a bright smile on his young and beautiful face. He waited for her as she slowly made her way closer to him. She could not remember at all. When had that happened? Was it a real memory or just some unreachable dream? RuYi smiled lightly, and in the midst of the shattering pain, she took her last breath. Rongpei watches her die with no expression on her face. She knew what was coming and had already steeled herself to it. Without another thought, she picks up a pair of silver scissors and slices her own throat. The only memory she recalled was the day she met RuYi. She was a lonely servant, having served in the gardens for many years and having endured too many beatings and insults to count. It was RuYi who had looked down at her and lifted her from the dust and mud. She was just a servant girl, and the only thing she could use to repay her was her life. Okay, so it's reported to the Emperor that RuYi committed suicide, and the Emperor wants to ask Rong Pei about it, but she's gone as well. The Emperor decides to give her the funeral of an imperial noble consort, but there's a key part here, just as Jinzhong is about to leave. The Emperor asks, who did the person in Yikun Palace see before committing suicide? Jinzhong hesitated for a moment, and then smiled apologetically and said, the imperial noble consort went to visit the mistress of Yikun Palace. She delivered a few things to help her take care of her health, and that was all. Are you seeing what's coming? Not long after, the Emperor calls Liu back to his side to serve him as his main eunuch again. Hailan is of course ready to die when she finds out, and the only reason she doesn't kill herself is because RuYi left her a note telling her not to, and to take care of the 12th prince. The next few parts take place over years in the novels. Over time, rumors start to spread about Yanwan having had a hand in RuYi's death. She was, after all, the last person to see her. Hailan does everything she can to keep that rumor mill going strong. Additionally, she does her best to drive a wedge between Yanwan and the other concubines, especially the Mongolians, although to be fair, no one really liked her much to begin with. The Emperor also can't stop thinking about it, and one day asks Liu again about RuYi's final moments. Sure enough, the Emperor was suspicious. Liu slightly lowered his voice. Before the mistress of Yikun Palace committed suicide, Imperial Noble Consort Ling had just left. Consort Yu, Consort Ying, and 7th Princess then went inside. Liu almost thought he had misheard, but it was clearly the Emperor's voice, trembling slightly as he said, "Was it really suicide?" Liu is of course still 100% loyal to RuYi and knows just what to say to keep stoking the Emperor's suspicions, especially pointing out that RuYi had been sick for a while and could have ended her life any time if she wanted. Why was it that moment specifically? The Emperor starts calling for RuYi in his sleep, and he just can't stop thinking about why she would do such a thing. One night he asked Liu, "Can you guess what Imperial Noble Consort Ling said to RuYi?" Liu tightly closed his lips. No need to speak. There was nothing that needed to be said. The suspicion had already taken root, and it was just a matter of waiting for it to branch out, bloom, and bear fruit. There were tears in his eyes, and it was hard to suppress the excitement in his heart. With these suspicious roots alone, even if Yanwan became the empress, she would not be very stable. Yanwan at this point has already moved to retake her older daughter, and actually manages to take her in, practically kidnapping her. 7th Princess refuses to eat or talk to her. As Liu said, 7th Princess and Ying both saw Yanwan coming out of RuYi's palace the day she died, so for all 7th Princess knows, Yanwan stabbed her herself. In an attempt to make 7th Princess eat again, Yanwan puts her in a room with her other children who try and get her to get with the program. It backfires on Yanwan as 7th Princess is the oldest, and she starts explaining to her younger siblings that Yanwan is actually evil and they shouldn't listen to her. Yanwan heard that the children were getting along well together and was proud of her clever plan. She rushed over to enjoy the fruits of her labor. Who would have guessed that she would hear such heart-wrenching words the moment she got to the door? Her expression changed in an instant, and she began to berate her. "What did you say? What nonsense are you talking about?" 7th Princess doubles down, saying that her 2 sons died as retribution for her evil deeds, and Yanwan gets so angry that she begins hitting the princess. Her 2 younger children, seeing her like this for the first time, are terrified and actually start defending the 7th Princess, saying, "Don't hit our sister." In Yanwan's rage, she paid no heed to Yongyan's words. Seeing that Jingyuan refused to beg for mercy and wouldn't say she was wrong, she began to strike more fiercely and more quickly, one after another. "I'm your mother. I'll discipline you well." 7th Princess runs away and finally reunites with Ying. When Yanwan tries to take her back again, we have that whole confrontation with the Empress Dowager, just like in the drama. After this, the Emperor takes her other children away, and his attitude towards her starts becoming as cruel as he was to RuYi towards the end. Sometimes the Emperor would half tease her. "Isn't it much quieter without children by your side?" For a moment, Yanwan stared blankly, but then she quickly put on her usual docile smile. "It is quiet. I can concentrate on taking care of your Majesty's harem affairs." The Emperor was very satisfied with her answer. He pinched her chin and left without a glance back. Yanwan smiled softly. The Emperor's mind is becoming more and more unclear to me. In the eyes of the Emperor, am I just a tool for managing the affairs of the harem? A tool for giving birth to children? First of all, yes, Yanwan, you dummy, have you not been paying attention? But honestly, it's really hard to feel any kind of satisfaction here. In the drama, it's easy to support RuYi over Yanwan because RuYi is a good person, Yanwan is not. In the novel, though, Yenwan is no worse or better than anyone else was. Anything bad she's done, Rui has done just as bad or worse. It's just the cycle repeating itself again. And it continues like this for years as Yenwan slowly realizes that she's not special and she doesn't really mean anything to the Emperor, that really she's ended up in exactly the same position as Rui. She starts to understand how Rui had become so tired of it all and why she finally gave up struggling in the end. Also, over these last few years, the Emperor has met a new young servant named Fuzhi who looks like Yenwan and by extension Rui when she was younger. The Emperor takes a liking to her and she becomes a first-class female attendant, then a noble lady. Again, literally just the cycle coming around again. As for Yenwan, the older women in the harem have stopped showing her even the basic respect of greeting her when they see her, and only show up to any morning meetings to interrupt her, belittle her choices, and just generally make her life miserable. Rong especially loves to do this as the Emperor still likes her enough that she can pretty much get away with anything. When Rong hears about Yenwan wanting to change some old rules from Rui's time, she crashes the meeting to make her voice heard. When Chunchan makes a comment about it, Xiang Jian sneered. If your master doesn't like me coming, you can go and tell the Emperor. The corners of Xiang Jian's lips raised slightly. Her smile was bright, but there was also a trace of obvious contempt. When Yenwan finally can't take it anymore, she goes to see the Emperor, who was strolling with his new girl, Fuzhi. The two were chatting and laughing as they left the hall of mental cultivation. Then, they saw Yenwan rushing up the steps with tears all over her face. My, is the sandstorm in the capital that severe? Has it gotten in your eyes? Yenwan wept miserably and was about to beg. The Emperor's smile deepened. I've heard that my imperial noble consort has been managing the harem affairs very well, that she follows the old rules and doesn't make changes rashly. I'm very pleased. Then we get Yenwan's thoughts. That was clearly a message for her to follow the customs Rui had left behind. So in actuality, he knew what was happening like the back of his hand. He knew of her embarrassment, her grievances, her hard work that no one respected, and he didn't care at all. The Emperor hints that she should be careful not to stress out too much or she might end up like Shu and Hui. On the surface, they died due to their own stresses, but the underlying threat is obvious. When the Emperor touched her arm, goosebumps rose for no reason. She was trembling, but there was nothing she could do. No matter how frightened she was, she couldn't escape. In the end, she gritted her teeth fiercely and was able to exert the last of her strength. She braced herself and said, I heard the Emperor's decree, so I'm here to thank you. The Emperor smiled with a hint of coldness in his eyes, and then left with noble Lady Dun. Yenwan's body softened, and she sat on the jade steps, listening to the sound of the wind rumbling like a sob. She no longer had the strength to struggle. I hope I'm getting across that this has been a slow progression over years and years. These novels are long. It's not like suddenly you're supposed to feel bad for Yenwan. It's a slow wear down. And I do feel bad for her. Like I said, Rui was no better than she was. I feel just as bad for Yenwan as I did for Rui when she was being treated like this. The Emperor no longer sleeps with her, but sometimes he flips her tile and just has her sleep beside him. One night, she wakes up with a start to find the Emperor staring at her like a creep. She asks why he's staring at her like that, and he responds that he can't sleep as today is the anniversary of the day when Rui cut her hair. Fear ran through her like a wild animal, taking over her entire body. Yenwan's mouth was completely dry. She felt weak just hearing the words. It's been so long. Your Majesty should stop being angry about it. The Emperor smiled. I'm not angry, just curious. That night, Imperial Noble Consort, what were you doing? Yenwan was tongue-tied. I don't remember. The Emperor completely lost interest. He rolled over and lay on his side like a person who had no worries. Oh, well, since you don't remember, let's just sleep. Just endless, cruel mind games. Fuzhi is promoted again to Imperial Concubine, and with the Emperor not coming to Yenwan's defense, the other women become more and more disrespectful to Yenwan, though she is technically the highest ranked. A few times, when she could hold back no longer and went to the Emperor to explain what had happened, she would prattle on in tears for a while, only for the Emperor to stop what he was doing and ask blankly, "What?" leaving Yenwan unable to continue. Occasionally, when the Empress Dowager heard the news, she would laugh and taunt her. Speaking of which, you've been an Imperial Noble Consort for such a long time. Why are you still so unpopular? I wonder, are you even still sure of your current position? Fuzhi is promoted again to consort and gives birth to the Emperor's final child, the 10th princess. He is 65 at this point. 7th princess is married off to a Mongolian tribe, which Ying is happy about because that is her home. At this point, no one even pretends that Yenwan is anything to the 7th princess. Additionally, as her other children grow, they start to understand what Seventh Princess was saying to them, and as they mature, they start to see Yenwon for the person she really is. Her older son especially starts to feel ashamed of her never-ending lust for power. He starts speaking to her less and less. Her brother Zolu is released, but he hates her because of how she pushed their mother to her death and won't speak to her at all. As things go on like this, she begins thinking again of Yuncha. Finally, we reach 10 years after RuYi's death. Hailan and Wan are together, and Hailan wants Wan to do something for her. She gives her a scroll full of Yenwon's misdeeds and tries to convince Wan to tell them to the emperor the next time she sees him. Hailan believes that at this point, the emperor is suspicious enough to believe the words, but maybe not coming from Hailan. Imperial concubine Wan stared at her suspiciously, paused for a moment, and then said in a deep voice, "But I'll die." Hailan sneered. "Living like this or dying? In the eyes of others, is there any difference? Clearly you're still breathing, but in the eyes of the people, you're already dead. Walking dead, just like me." Hailan gives her a final push by reminding her of how she contributed to RuYi's downfall. Wan is convinced and goes to the emperor and tells him everything. Imperial concubine Wan was sitting tiredly on the small sedan chair at dawn, and when she saw Hailan waiting in her palace, she said softly, "I've never said so much to the emperor in my whole life. But the emperor, he was actually willing to hear me say so much." Hailan embraced her and said with a soft smile, "That's because the words you said were nice to hear, so the emperor liked hearing them." Imperial concubine Wan rested her head on Hailan's shoulder wearily. "You forced me to say those words, but being forced by you like this really is a pleasure. I have never been so happy. Who I like, who I hate, I said it all. Even if the emperor drags me out immediately and chops my head off, I won't regret it." After mulling over what Wan has told him, the emperor eventually goes to see Hailan and brings her some pearls. "I rewarded you with pearls because I thought you always like what RuYi likes." Hailan smiled indifferently. "Not necessarily. For example, my sister likes the emperor, but I don't." Finally, Hailan gives him the ring, and the emperor realizes that Yenwon is the one who was in love with Yuncha. In the end, he doesn't decide to kill Wan, and in fact, she gets the happiest ending in the novel as he goes to see her and is floored when he sees all the paintings she's done for him over the years and how desperately she's yearned to be noticed by him. "The paintings are all of me, in my youth and in my old age. Imperial concubine Wan, you drew them so well." With misty eyes, she said softly, "I've been painting them all my life. Practice makes perfect." So at 50 years old, Wan finally starts a relationship with her husband. She never gets promoted past imperial concubine, but that's fine with her. The emperor calls Chunchan in and she confesses to everything, and then he finally confronts Yenwon. Yenwon has that same kind of brazen confession she did in the drama, like, "Yeah, I did it, so what? Everyone else here does the same." Yenwon knew that in the eyes of the emperor, she was just a mouse being teased. The years of endless torment, struggling between his teeth and claws, had dragged her down to the point where she could neither plead for her life nor beg for her death. Since it had already come to this, death was nothing. It's just a life. If your majesty wants it, then take it. The emperor tosses Yuncha's ring at her, and she is so happy to see it again that she cries. She is poisoned and brought into another room to die, and after hours of writhing and praying for death, in her final moments, Yenwon tries to put the ring on. The ring trembled slightly at her fingertips, but the sweat made it slip off and roll far away. Yenwon opened her eyes wide, but she didn't have the strength to find the ring. Yeah, Yuncha was not having that. Chunchan is made mute, but sent home with a really nice severance package of a nice house and her own servants to take care of her, so kind of a happy ending? In the Emperor's final scene with Li Yu, he admits that he wants RuYi to be free in the next life, which is why he didn't bury her as an empress. The Emperor orders that from now on, no more Ulanara women are to be included in the selection of concubines, that they should be allowed to live normal lives with normal husbands. And that's the end of the book. Till next time, thanks for watching.